It's a terrible football show. What do you expect?
I want whatever you guys are smoking right now.
Just in my brain, it just makes so much sense.
OH!
Oh, baby, yeah! You have no quarterback. You're going to need some punters.
Welcome to a terrible football show.
That's my quarterback and my teammate, man.
Ruins my fucking holiday every damn year.
Alex,
What up?
you could thoroughly kiss my ass.
If it's Toledo, I'm drawing the best damn rocket there is out there.
Now that's going to look like a dildo.
I told my HR director about this show. He's going to listen to it.
They draft Xavier Worthy. What the fuck? Wide receiver from Texas.
Fucking hamster.
It's a hamster mixed in with a sheep.
The Buffalo Hamsters have traded.
Listen, guys, this is a terrible football show where everybody may be good at nothing, but we are terrible at everything.
That's facts. That's a clip for the intro.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
That's a clip for the intro, baby. Yeah, he's successful at just giving his terrible opinions, so why can't I? Terrible football show, after all. Welcome to a terrible football show. We're here. I didn't have the video up. Welcome to Terrible Football Show. December 3rd, 2024, episode 118. How's it going? I'm Alex Live with Sparky3. I got Jacob with me. Dawn of a new era. He shows up after Ohio State lost to Michigan for the first time ever. Jacob, how you doing?
You know, the one saving grace I had in all sports has failed me.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Yep.
I'm so sorry.
I don't know how I feel about it because
Yeah,
this
yeah.
time around they beat us fair and square. Ryan Day needs to be fired. Plain and simple.
Well, I got my wish, in terms of a firing. We're going to chat about that here today. Matt Eberflus finally got fired. Jesus Christ.
You guys want Ryan Day?
Absolutely not. Get that dog shit out of here.
Only good things happen to your teams when an Ohio State head coach comes to coach.
No, I'm good. Already went through that once. Rather not go through that ever again. That was a disaster. One of the worst situations ever. Just like the Flus situation. But we also have the latest college football playoff rankings that went up before we started the show. So we're going to kind of go over that with the weekend that was, with the upset that was my team Miami losing and his team Ohio State losing, and kind of our thoughts on all that. So it's going to be a great time. Make sure to follow the show. We'd appreciate that, as well as be a friend, tell a friend. Check out our Patreon down below. Join the Discord. Check out some Agent Ink and some Rogue Energy. Let's turn down the music. Ayo, ayo, ayo. Oh, man, it's one of those days. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I was talking to some guys at work today at one of my stores, and they asked me, it's just like, they're talking about the Bears, and they asked me, how's your fantasy team doing? Like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, look, I don't think you understand. Top to bottom, this has probably been one of the worst years. Actually, no, I'll go ahead and say it. The worst year of my football fandom in my life. Top to bottom, every single thing that I have to look forward to has been a shit show. So it's been one of those years. But let's go ahead and kick things off with some college football playoff rankings, because that did just drop, and we can kind of go over it and just kind of the different possible outcomes of how everything's going to play with conference championship weekend. So for conference championship weekend, let me go ahead and address that too. We've got UNLV and Boise State for the Mountain West, which at this point is an official lock. One of these two teams will be our Group of 5 representative for the college football playoffs based on the other rankings that we have for Tulane and Army, which, UNLV and Boise State just kind of, beat them out there in terms of the college football playoff rankings. Like I said, Tulane Army for the American. We got Iowa State and Arizona State for the Big 12. Who would have predicted that?
Nobody.
Like, let's be honest. Who would have predicted that? Like, what the heck? Well, I mean, I would have never seen that coming. We got Georgia and Texas for the SEC Championship for a little rematch there. Then we got Oregon and Penn State for the Big 10, not Ohio State. Unfortunate. And then SMU and Clemson for the ACC. Unfortunate, not Miami. It's very tragic how these things take place.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep. So the current college football playoff rankings is Oregon at 1, Texas 2, Penn State 3, Notre Dame 4, Georgia 5, Ohio State at 6, Tennessee 7, SMU 8, Indiana at 9, Boise State 10, Alabama at 11, and Miami at 12. And then some other key teams to keep a lookout for here is Arizona State and Iowa State at 15, 16 respectively, Clemson at 17, and UNLV at 20. Because, again, these are going to be the ones that are going to be keeping a lookout for things for who's going to make the final 12. This conference championship weekend is going to be a big deal. I was just talking to Jacob here before we started, because I was looking, I was like, how the hell does Miami get in? Like, I'm looking, like, I mean, based on, like, what we know, right? Like, we know Arizona State and Iowa State are guaranteed, one of the two. We know UNLV and Boise State's guaranteed, one of the two. It's like, how the heck do I get in there? Looking at, I guess, the playoff predictor, the only chance I've got is apparently Iowa State beats Arizona State, and if college football playoff committee decides to be a little generous and pick Miami over Alabama, I think that's what it comes down to. I think you're good no matter what. I think you're getting in fine. I mean, that loss sucks. You're out of the Big 10 championship, but I mean, you've got a good overall, head-to-head record, beating, Penn State earlier in the year, having a very close game with Oregon, whatever. Unfortunate loss to Michigan, obviously, but which we're going to chat about that Michigan game too. I think Rookie's going to be joining, so we'll try to hold off on that for him, because I know he's pretty fired up. But I think you're good no matter what.
Yeah, I think we're sitting in a pretty good spot, and I think it's because the committee is, I guess the committee, they think it's because it's a rivalry game.
Yeah,
you throw everything out the window. I've always been that way with rivalry game. No matter the record, no matter what state the teams are in, you throw everything that's happened earlier on in the season out, because rivalry games are just different.
Right.
It's a whole other beast.
Right. Now, here's a question that is a pretty good question from Chad in the chat here, is how many newcomers are going to win the conference championship? Because that's a great question when you look at the conference championships. I mean, you got a newcomer for the American with Army. You got a newcomer for the Big 12 with Arizona State, who's technically a returner, right? Arizona State was the Big 12 originally, but still a newcomer as of now. You got Texas with the SEC, Oregon with the Big 10, and SMU with the ACC. Like, how wild is this, man? You got newcomers in pretty much every conference championship. So it's just like how many newcomers are going to come out on top, you think?
I would say a majority.
Because I would say I got SMU for sure. I've got Oregon for sure. Texas, Georgia, I think is a legitimate coin flip. I think Arizona State's got this one in, and I would give it to Tulane. So I mean, I've got like what, at least three, maybe four. I mean, that's kind of crazy once you think about it.
It really is, considering the amount of change that's happened in the NCAA over the course of the last year alone.
Yeah.
With all these newcomers coming in and just owning their new conferences.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's, in a way, it makes me like the realignment that NCAA went through, but also I still don't like it because of geographical shenanigans.
Right. Yeah, the geographic side of things really makes me mad, but it is what it is. That's why I've got college football games to fix the world and make me feel better in some capacity.
If I'm seeing this correctly on ESPN, the conference championship game that costs the least to go to is the Big Ten championship. Tickets as low as $13.
See, I see tickets as low as $16.
Still, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Big 12. It's low as 66. I mean, that's the second most expensive.
The Mountain West is $54.
Yeah, I see that. That's crazy. They hating on your conference up there, buddy.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It's because I
think it's
Penn
because
State's not a good
everyone.
representative. I don't think this year. I do not think Penn State's a good representative. If it wasn't going to be Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, I would have much rather have seen Indiana.
Oh, really? You don't think Penn State's going to be able to keep up at all?
I don't think Penn State has a snowball hell of a chance.
I do agree. I really don't think they have a chance. Like Chad just said, no one wants to watch Penn State except for Penn State fans, basically. I don't even think Tyler wants to watch Penn State.
Probably not, it's unfortunate because his team is in the conference championship game.
I know. It's one of those things where it's like, you're an 11-1 team, you're third in the nation, you're in the conference championship, but like, can we just agree that it doesn't feel like it, for them? Like, it really doesn't. Like,
Yeah, it really does not.
Like, I don't think Penn State's a bad team. I think they can put up a fight in a college football playoff game. I think they can put up a somewhat of a fight in this game, but I just think Oregon's leagues above. They might can put up a fight at some point in the game, but they're just leagues above. And that's where it just kind of feels a little off, feels a little weird, feels a little strange.
Well, Oregon is battle tested.
Oregon is battle tested.
Penn State's really only played 2 ranked teams this year, and that's Illinois and Ohio State.
Yep. Correcto. And then we got Ricky joining. Ricky, my friend, how are you?
Gentlemen. I am doing well. My wife had a work Christmas party that she wanted me to go to, and we get there and it's super packed. So I'm like, I'm leaving. I got to go scout a couple teams anyway. It's a coach's life, gentlemen. It's a coach's life.
Coach's life. Well, welcome to the show, my friend. We haven't touched on Ohio State and Michigan yet. I figured I'd save that for you to get here,
Oh, man.
We've touched on the fact that Jacob's here.
I was kind of hoping.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping you.
Yeah, no, we waited, but the only thing I've touched on is the fact that Jacob did not go into his cocoon, that he's actually here. It's the dawn of a new era, for Jacob over here, overcoming.
Now, but go figure, I'm sick after the Ohio State Michigan game. I'm legitimately sick.
Well, I will say this much. So last night, my 8th grade boy, of course, my 7th grade boys, they took care of business. They usually, like I said, I've got a pretty good 7th grade bunch. I got a good 8th grade bunch too, but I've got some 7th graders that are well above a 7th grade level. Let's just put it that way. They also play the 8th grade game. I was down 17 points at one point in the game last night, and they clawed back. We went to overtime. We finally put them away in overtime. So I'm kind of surprised that I'm not sick today because my voice was gone last night. But it's good. It's good to be on it. It's good to be on the show. And like I said, I'm looking forward to Jacob's thoughts. But I also have some of my own thoughts. But we'll get to that later.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that later. Well, right now we're talking about the college football playoff rankings. We already kind of went through the rankings and kind of went through some different situations. Like, I was talking, we were talking kind of Miami there for a moment where it's like, I personally don't see a route for Miami to get in. When we were going through like the playoff predictor, it's like apparently the route that it goes is that Iowa State would need to beat Arizona State, and it would essentially put Miami in above Bama. But at that point, if the committee's choosing between Bama and Miami, they're picking Bama. Like it's just what they're going to do.
Which is unfortunate because, in my opinion, Miami, they have 10 wins, which a lot of teams can't say the same. Their losses have come down to 1 possession, which is a very different resume than the 9-3 teams. Like, Alabama just got blown out by Oklahoma.
Yep.
Why is Alabama in the playoffs?
So I will actually defend that because I also asked that very same question, and we also have to look at their schedule. They have one of the toughest schedules in the entire country. We cannot argue that.
Yep.
Of all the rankings, of all the teams that are ranked, they have more top 25 wins than any team that is currently ranked. They have 3 or 4. I can't remember on the top of my head. And not only that, whenever you put them head to head with some of the other teams that have lost. Now, I will say this much. Them losing to Vanderbilt was probably worse. I would say that. I'd probably said the Oklahoma loss looked a lot worse on them than what the Vanderbilt loss looked on them. But at the same time, when you take into account of their schedule and the schedule that they have to play now versus Miami, I hate to say this, but Alabama's probably going to get in over that.
Oh, I agree.
Over a 2-loss team, and I hate that because I thought for the most part, the one thing I hate about how rankings work is when teams lose late in the season. It's almost like late in the season you have no room for error, but at the beginning of the season you have all this room for error.
Yep.
And so that's something else that kind of downfalls, the way that this system is kind of balanced. But the one thing you can't argue, they have more top 25 wins and they have a much tougher schedule than what Miami does.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That you can't argue with. And the same thing, and because I think it was Lane Kiffin or it was someone from Ole Miss that was going on this thread about
Lane,
Bama's name and everything like that. And they have a very, very lame argument because they're lost to Kentucky. And so that loss to Kentucky just really, really, really put them out. Had they beat Kentucky, we're having a different conversation. Most likely, Ole Miss is going to be the last team getting in versus Alabama. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, no, and I want to make the record clear. I'm definitely not like upset and fighting for Miami to get in because honestly, I don't think we deserve to get in. Yeah, we got 10 wins. We have at least a top 5 Heisman hopeful. I don't know if I'd put Cam Ward in top 3 at this point, but he's a top 5 Heisman hopeful. Let's be honest. But I mean, I totally agree. That Miami doesn't deserve to necessarily get in, especially when you look at their schedule. I mean, I got it up right now. They have not beat one ranked team all year.
I will say this much.
There's your answer.
There's 2 things that I will say. Number 1, their win against Florida is looking really, really good right now because Florida has played very, very well for at least the majority of the season. Now, I know they've had some bad losses, but if you look at Florida right now, they're playing some really, really good football. So that win is looking really, really good right now. And the second thing I will say is SMU has to lose for Miami to get in. If SMU ends up winning, I think Miami gets in.
I think if SMU loses, Miami's got a shot to get in. The only thing about Miami getting in for me is that it would just be cool to see them get in because they'll probably lose first round. It is what it is. I can admit that. It's not a big deal. Because I can admit that we probably don't need to get in. But I mean, from based on the playoff predictor, apparently, Iowa State beating Arizona State can kind of pump in. Can help Miami get in, and then SMU losing to Clemson. I mean, that could also be a possibility, but if you're looking to put the better team in, I don't think at this point, I don't know if Miami's that team, unfortunately. Having last 2 or 3 games lost, I mean that's kind of tough to go by there. In true Miami fashion, dropping the ball when it matters because that's what they do every single time they're good. Every single time they're good over the last basically 15 years. The moment they get good like this, they're going to drop a game they should not drop. But I mean, even so, like I think the more interesting element to this whole thing is something we already chatted about, Ricky, where it's just like, when you look at, these conference championships and everything, I think the really interesting thing that I'd be kind of curious your thoughts on is just how many newcomers are going to be winning conference championships. I mean, like, you look at it, I mean, you got Oregon and Big Ten, you got SMU and ACC, you got Arizona State, which is a returning team, yes, but, either way, new to this year for the Big 12, Army and the American. I mean, it's just kind of fascinating to look at,
Yeah, and I think the NIL has a lot to do with it.
Oh,
you're also stacking these conferences up like crazy. So it does, and in some ways it doesn't surprise me, but the NIL is really, really pulled in favor of some of these other teams. Because you have players out there who are in it for their name, who are in it for the money, and they're not in it to win championships. They're just in it to get by in hopes of getting an NFL contract. And this is where the NIL kind of falters a little bit because the simple fact is 99% of the players that we are watching are more than likely not going to be NFL players. So that's kind of where the downfall comes into play. I will put one up on you. I'll look at UNLV. UNLV, I know they're not a newcomer in the conference, but I'm just going to state this as an example. They lost their quarterback because their quarterback wouldn't get paid the $100,000, and they're still in the conference championship. So when you have players like that who are willing to step up and say, hey, you don't have to pay me $100,000, you still get results. You're getting the same results as those who are getting a lot of money.
Right. Kind of crazy also what you're saying with the UNLV thing after what happened with that one kid. Like, just look at the run they've been on,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it just they're going to get a chance they're going to get a chance to redeem that one loss.
Right. All right, so I've got something for you guys. We're going to do something a little bit different today. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Just because, we are in college football playoff time and it's time to kind of lock things in. I want to go ahead and let's go ahead and do our picks for college football. Because the reason why I want to go ahead and do our picks is because I want to get everyone's prediction on who their final 12 will be. You guys game?
Sure.
All right. So, Ricky, I think you're driving, so just make sure to get your picks in later on Run Your Pool.
I will.
So, all right, let's go through our college picks for the week.
By the way, undefeated in the NFL this week. I just want to reiterate.
What?
Were you? I didn't
I was
check.
undefeated. Yes, it was.
Hey, congrats, dude. I
Yeah.
think you might be the first undefeated
Undefeated.
person.
It was. Well, here's the thing.
16
no, I
and
just
0.
undefeated
Holy
this
shit,
past
look at
week.
that.
Not this season, just this past week.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, 16 and 0. Look at that. You're the New England Patriots, Bubba.
So the thing is so of course there's this little pool thing that I'm with my father-in-law on,
Yeah.
and we what we do is we pick games every week. No, not against the spread or anything like that.
Right.
And I was the first 16-0 to ever win 16 games like in a single week, which I thought was pretty cool.
Shout out.
Yeah, but I also thought it was a very predictable week, so I'm not giving myself a whole lot of credit.
Yeah,
It
Steve
was just a
went
great week.
15 and 1. He was right there with you. But I think you're the first 16 and 0 team in our Run Your Pool history. Congratulations.
Hey, good job, Ricky.
Yeah,
good job.
New England Patriots over here. Let's go. Let's go.
In the college football predictions, I gained some ground finally.
after the big week.
Yeah, 49-19 is what I had.
There you go.
48-20.
I didn't even see what I went. Probably shit.
43-25.
Well, that's third for the week. I'm still quite a
I
ways
think
behind Ricky.
I think I'm still leading for the year.
You are 296 and 161. Here you go.
I did shit this year.
I did shit in every regard. That's why I want this season to end. I'm ready for next year. I'm done with the 2024 football season. I'm done. Done.
Honestly, same.
I'm done. I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck
Although
this
my
season.
team still has a chance to win a natty this year, I really don't want them to because I want
True.
Ryan Day gone.
Yeah, true. All right, let's hit our college picks so it can help us kind of line out who we think our final 12 is going to be. You ready? All right, so first up, the Conference USA Championship, not relevant to the college football playoffs, but we're still going to go through it. We got West Kentucky and Jacksonville State. Shout out to that. Shout out to J State, man. That's cool.
They've had one hell of a season this year.
Yeah, man, they have. Give me J State. Give me JSU. Let's go.
Let's see. They have J State favored by 3.5. I am taking J State for this one.
Yeah, I was going to take J-State regardless. I know Western Kentucky's they're a threat. Don't get me wrong, they're a threat.
Yeah,
They can easily win this football game. But Jacksonville State has had a great year this year, and I think they're going to end it with the conference championship.
And man, good for them because when they came up to FBS play, everyone thought they were just going to shit the bed and be garbage and stuff. And I wish I could remember the guy's name. I'm drawing the biggest blank in the world. Is it Rich Rod? Is that the former West Virginia head coach during the Pat White era? I think it was Rich Rodriguez, and he went to Michigan. Yeah. Rich Rod's the head coach, I'm pretty sure. So it's I knew when they came up to FBS, I was saying on the show, hey, man, watch out, J-State. They're going to put up some points. They're going to fight. They're going to be scrappy. And, here they are in the conference championship. It's a big kudos. Mountain West Championship with UNLV and Boise State. Man, give me them Broncos running on the back of Ashton Genty all the way to the national championship. Here we go.
Give me the Rebels.
Oh, come on now.
I called it from the beginning that
Okay.
UNLV would be the representative for the group of 5 this year, and I'm still on that thought.
Okay. All right. So UNLV is going to be a lock for you for your college football playoffs, then, like Boise State is for me.
And I will say this much. I want to go with UNLV for the exact same reason. For the exact same reason Jacob did. I think their defense is very, very good. But the thing is, I don't think they're going to have an answer for Ashton Genty. That dude's he is just on another level. And Boise State
to be fair, they held him to 128 yards earlier in the season. So
that is very true. But rematches are usually not very good. And I'm telling you, as great of a player as he is, there's a good possibility he's going to go for more than 128 this next coming time. I'm taking Boise State, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that Boise State, this is going to be the first chance that they've had in a postseason like this in their school's history. Because if we remember Boise State back in the BCS era, that there was times that they were about to get in, and some nobody team would beat them, and all of a sudden they're out. I think they're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I want to pull the trigger, but I'm going to stick with Boise State.
Boise is only favored by 4, by the way.
That 4 is about to become 24.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Next up is the American, which is Tulane and Army. Give me Tulane.
Give me Army.
Respect.
High respect. High respect. But I think Tulane's going to be a little bit too much defensively. I think they're going to be able to figure out that run game.
Next up is the Big 12 championship. Important game here with Iowa State and Arizona State. Give me the Sun Devils. I like the Sun Devils here a lot.
Yeah, they are hot right now. I'm going with Arizona State. I think they're going to continue with this momentum into the playoffs. And I think they might win the first round in the playoffs, depending on who they play.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the seeding was right, if I'm not mistaken, it could be Notre Dame if they get that 12 seed.
Right
think it
now,
would be
the
12.
the prediction is, or the projection is Arizona State at the 12 seed and Penn State at the 5 seed.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would probably pull the trigger and take Arizona State at this point, just because of that. Just because of how hot they are, and they just came out of nowhere this year. Nowhere whatsoever. Oh my gosh! 2 years ago, I think they won like 3 games the entire year.
So you taking Arizona State, Ricky?
Yes, I'm taking Arizona State.
I'm writing these down as we're going, at least for the important ones. No disrespect to their championships. I'm talking about college football playoff status. I'm writing down the important ones for us. Next up, Jacobs Ohio Bobcats versus the fake Miami of Ohio. Give me Jacobs Bobcats, led by Coach Jacob Giggity.
The Bobcats are hot right now. I mean, they're a MAC team, so I'm not surprised that they aren't ranked, but I like the Bobcats in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Ohio.
All right, next up, the Celebration Bowl. This is Celebration Bowl, right?
Yep.
All right, Southern and Jackson State. Give me Jackson State.
I'm taking Jackson State on this one.
I'm going Southern.
Okay, respect. All right, Georgia and Texas for the SEC championship.
Hook 'em horns.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going Texas over here.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, both teams have struggled as of late. But for some reason, I've got a feeling Texas is going to pull this one out. And regardless if they don't, both teams are probably going to be in the playoffs regardless.
They will be.
But here's something else that we have to also think about. If Georgia's a 3-loss team, Bama's probably out.
Yeah, because Bama also beat Georgia.
Yeah.
Very true. They also didn't play
really bad for Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't play for a conference. They didn't play for a conference championship though. Georgia played one more game.
Yeah. Okay.
So you could.
What Alex reiterated earlier too. What did you say about what the committee said about people who played in the conference championships versus the people who aren't?
All right. It was Brett McMurphy that posted that. So what he said was selection committee chair Ward Manuel basically said teams in conference title games not playing cannot jump any teams not playing. So if SMU beats Clemson, Alabama gets last at-large bid over Miami. So there you go. As for my pick, man, I really would like to see Texas take this, but I have a feeling Georgia's going to end up getting it. I just have that feeling. I would like to see Texas pull it off. That'd be pretty cool. But, for the sake of new team in the conference, fuck Georgia. But I'm going to go with Georgia for pick's sake. I think it's going to be Georgia. Sun Belt, we got Marshall and the Ragin' Cajuns. Just to fuel Ricky's meme, give me the Ragin' Cajuns.
Same.
Yeah.
Did I say Ricky's meme?
Yeah.
Jacob's meme. Sorry. Ricky, I think we're losing you, Bubba.
Love the Raging Cajuns too. Shout out to Marshall. What a good season for them as well.
All right, so you're picking Raging Cajuns?
Yes.
Okay, you were kind of breaking up, but we got you back. Yeah, no, the meme, I meant Jacob's meme, though, because Ricky, just for context, Jacob's been really hammering the fact that it's technically impossible for the Raging Cajuns to make the college football playoffs.
They have a 3% chance.
It's not zero.
It's not zero. A lot has to happen, but there is still an opportunity.
You'll appreciate this. When I was in college, between 2006 and 2011, there was a guy he's a little bit older than I was, He was a oh gosh, trying to remember what big school he had. That was his. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But oh no, he was a Michigan fan, so you wouldn't have liked him, Jacob. But he was also a Raging Cajun fan, and anytime we played college football, he didn't pick Michigan. He picked the Raging Cajuns. He always played you with the Raging Cajuns, and he would usually win. So it was pretty cool.
That's cool. That's legit. All right. So next up would be the Big Ten Championship, Penn State and Oregon. Give me the Ducks, man. Give me the Ducks.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, Oregon has been on the precipice of a loss for the past few weeks now. Like, yes, they kind of blew out Washington, but that game was relatively close for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And they also barely beat Wisconsin.
Are you leaning? Are you leaning?
Give me the Nittany Lions.
Wow. Wowzers.
Wow. So here's something else, though, that's kind of confusing for me. If Penn State wins this game, Oregon will not be a conference champion. Would that mean they get the 5 seed as a 1-loss team?
I think so.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I hate this bracket. Give me Oregon.
All right. All right. Then lastly, we have the ACC championship with Clemson and SMU. Give me SMU.
Same.
Yeah, it's going to be a defensive battle, though, because other than Clemson losing to South Carolina, they started figuring things out. So I will take SMU. I think they're the better team right now.
Hey, Jeb, can we get an IO?
IO.
There you go. Shout out to Tyler in chat. All right, so I've got all of our picks lined up, okay? So let me see if I can make the sense of this. So here's my first question, Jacob. This one's for you. So with how you're, and Ricky, obviously you chime in too. Let's talk about this. So in Jacob, in your case, okay, you got Texas winning, who is currently the number 2. You have Penn State winning, who's the number 3. Did they just both get bumped up one spot, or does Penn State go to 1 because they beat the 12-0 number 1 team?
I think Texas has the better resume, so Texas goes to number 1, Penn State goes to number 2.
All right, so in your case, you got Texas 1, Penn State 2. So in your case, your 3 spot, God, who would that go to for you? I guess SMU. Yeah, yours would be SMU.
Yep.
All right, SMU. And then your 4 spot, I guess, would be Arizona State, right?
Yep. With
yeah, it would.
UNLV taking a 12 spot.
Well, look at that. You have an interesting playoff already. So your 5 spot would probably just be Oregon. I think that's a safe bet.
Yep.
All right, look at that. We're figuring this out. We're deciphering the code of this stupid mess. We're deciphering the code, boys. All right, so who would be your 6th team? Would it just still be Ohio State? Or would it be Georgia since they lost? Would Georgia go down to 6? And where's Notre Dame fall in this? Is Notre Dame 6? Notre Dame would be 6, right?
Notre Dame would be 6th.
Okay, so Notre Dame for you. So 7, would that be Georgia then? Since Georgia's already ahead of Ohio State and Georgia lost to Texas. Or would it still be Ohio State?
I think Ohio State and Tennessee would jump up 1.
I think you're right, actually. I think you're right. So let's
Georgia would drop to the 9th spot.
Okay, so let's go Ohio State 7. Let's go 10, 8, and then 9. Well, would 9 just be Indiana, though? 9 would just be Indiana, wouldn't it?
No, 9 would be Georgia.
As a 3-loss team?
Yeah.
Over 11-1 Indiana?
Yeah. Better resume.
I guess that's fair. So Georgia and then Indy. So who's your 11 team? I guess it would be, at this point for you, it'd be Bama or Miami, yeah?
Yeah.
So I guess it's up to you. Who do you want in, Bama?
I would personally say Miami, but...
Oh, okay. Is that your official pick, or would you say Bama? Because Bama's got the better resume. And Miami has not beaten a ranked team this year.
Can you imagine 2 3-loss teams in this fucking playoff bracket? Give me Alabama for the 11th seed.
Okay, so Alabama, man, look at you. So I'll go over your full layout here in a second. So Ricky, all right, for you, yours is kind of like mine, pretty straightforward. So yours would have Oregon 1, you'd have Texas 2. Your number 3 would be Boise State. No, it'd be SMU. Yours would be SMU, right? Yeah. So SMU and then Boise. And then I suppose it'd be Notre Dame at 5. And then 6 would be Arizona State. Where would Arizona State fall? Would they be the 12? Where would
I mean, you can make an argument. Yeah, probably so. It probably have to be 12.
I'll hold off on that because wait. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it would be 12, wouldn't it? Because I mean, they're not even in the 12. So yeah, your 12 would be Arizona State. So then 6. Let's see. I guess in your case, would it be Georgia or Ohio State, or it'd be Ohio State, wouldn't it? Kind of the same thing we just did for Jacob.
Yeah. If Georgia gets beat, I think Ohio State moves up, and I also think Tennessee moves up. I'd have Georgia at 9.
All right. So who's your 8 then? Would it just be Indiana getting bumped up from 9 to 8?
Possibly.
All right,
I could see that happening just because they're and it wouldn't really the only reason it would matter is whether they would have to go to Georgia or they would have to play a home game.
All right. So I got
I would have to play Georgia.
All right, so I got 2 spots left. I got 10 and 11. So would it just go to who am I? Am I missing someone? Let's see. I got 1 Oregon, 2 Texas, 3 SMU, 4 Boise State, 5 Notre Dame, 6 Ohio State, 7 Tennessee, 8 Indiana, 9 Georgia. So I don't think I'm missing any. Oh, Penn State. Yeah, where does Penn State going to fall in this? They would actually be somewhere in here, wouldn't they? They would be.
Oh, I forgot about Penn State.
Would they be?
So Penn State, that would be their second loss, right?
Yeah, they would probably be below Ohio State since Ohio State beat them, right?
Yeah. So where's Ohio State? 6.
6.
So yeah, Penn State would be 7 then, and then
Okay.
I'd probably put Tennessee 8. Probably Georgia 9 because Georgia does have a better resume.
And then Indy. And then,
Indiana 10.
And then it's same case for you. It's Bama, Miami, which I'd just say Bama, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Bama.
Okay. So then lastly, mine. So I would have Oregon. So my 2, I've got Texas losing. Penn State's losing Notre Dame. So I guess my 2 would be Georgia, wouldn't it? With how mine plays out, mine would be Georgia. Yeah, mine would be Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia at 2. Look at that. Number 3 for me would be SMU, and then Boise at 4. That'd be mine. And then it'd be Notre Dame at 5. That seems to be very consistent and pretty standard. 6, I guess 6 would probably be what? Penn State for me, since they were 3rd. You think they would drop to 6, or I guess they would still go below Ohio State since Ohio State beat them, right?
Yeah.
So let's go Ohio State at 6. Here you go. Let's go Penn State at 7. And then 8 for me, I guess, would probably be, let's see. Oh, yeah, where does Texas fall in this, too? Texas might be 6, wouldn't they?
They should put them above Notre Dame.
Yeah, would Texas fall at 5? What do you think, guys? You think Texas would fall at 5?
Probably.
I would have to say 5 as well because, let's see, Notre Dame's 1 loss was NIU. Texas would be losing twice to Georgia. And so a much stronger case to be a 5 seed.
Okay, all right, we're cooking. We're getting this done. All right, so I'm almost done with mine, and we can go over this madness.
Isn't it crazy that a team who lost to a MAC team is still in the playoffs?
Oh, that's funny. All right, I think I got it.
Basically played an ACC schedule.
All right, I think I got it, boys. Here we go. So my 12 would be Oregon, Georgia, SMU, Boise, Texas, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, Alabama, and Arizona State. Ricky's, yours would be Oregon, Texas, SMU, Boise, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, Georgia, Indiana, Bama, and Arizona State. And Jacob's, yours is the most chaotic. You've got yours would be Texas, Penn State, SMU, Arizona State, Oregon, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia, Indiana, Bama, and UNLV. Could be an interesting playoff no matter what. All of our like projected brackets are vastly different. This is fascinating. I'm going to hold on to these crudely written cards, and I'm going to follow up on this and see how close we get next week.
And this is the reason why I say a terrible football show should be picking the bracket.
You're damn right. Here we go. No, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out next week. With all that said, though, since Ricky is here and Jacob's here, let's address the elephant in the room, boys. Let's address Ohio State, Michigan now. What a way to end that game, right? What a way to end that game.
Both teams are in the wrong. Both teams deserve to get the fines that they had.
I agree. Both teams are in the wrong. 100%. I can agree to
I
that.
understand the planting of the flag. I understand that tradition because it happened multiple times over the weekend, and it caused multiple incidences over the weekend.
You guys aren't the only victim of it.
I do not. I think Ohio State was still on the right with defending their home turf and whatnot, but they did it in the wrong way.
Right.
And then you had a Michigan player, as the brawls were starting to calm down, continue to run the flag around Ohio State player, just causing the incitement to happen even more.
Yeah.
And that caused number 33, Jack Sawyer, my favorite Buckeye player currently, to take the flag, rip it down. Police pepper sprayed everybody. Ohio State needs to learn how to lose.
Heard that.
But Michigan also needs to be respectful. I understand it's a rivalry game. I understand it's the best rivalry game in all of sports. But still be respectful. Sportsmanship is still a thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But Michigan Ohio State war part 2, and not just over the Battle of Toledo.
Damn. Ricky, what about you? What was your thoughts? Because you were texting me at the time. You seemed a little fired up too. What was your thoughts on the whole thing? What's your thoughts on Jacob's response to it as our local Ohio fuck?
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with what Jacob said, but I will say this much: there is an old saying that we have down here in the South, and a lot of the times when we see teams that that celebrate or over celebrate or whatever it is, usually the loser usually instigates a fight. Oh, we can't beat them, so let's fight them. In some ways, I'm kind of old school when it comes to celebrating, and in a lot of ways, it's one of those deals where I feel like the players should soak this in, because when they go to Michigan next year, chances are they're going to beat Michigan next year. Let's state that right now. I think Ohio State's going to be a much better team. A much better team than what Michigan is this year. And the flag planting and everything like that, I understand that could be disrespectful and in many ways, everything like that. But at the same time, that should soak in for them. That should be a fuel to the fire, because when you lose and you react like that, it makes you look like a sore loser. And that's just the old school of me. But I also agree with Jacob.
Yeah.
Because there is a respect thing that does come to this. The players these days are more emotional now than they ever have been. And it's from the ground up. It's not just Michigan, Ohio State. It's everywhere. We've seen it. We've seen it everywhere. So there is a proper way to handle this. From my understanding, Ryan Day was there the entire time and stood there the entire time, from my understanding. I don't know if that's to be true.
There's videos of him just staring off into space.
Yeah,
much.
There's videos of him just he's just staring off like he's not even there.
So in a lot of ways, I'm not going to put all the blame on him, but I will say this much: if he cared as much as he does, he should have went in there and broke the fight up himself. I think it would have de-escalated a lot quicker than having the assistants break up the fight.
I agree 100% on that.
I will say this. I will say this much: there needs to be a respect to both sides, because it's a rivalry game. There's gonna be a good celebration.
Yeah.
That was Michigan's biggest win this year by far.
Oh yeah.
Of all 4 years, and I will state this till the day I die. Of the last 4 years, Ohio State should have won the first time, and they should have won this year. They had a much better team both years.
Yep.
And I don't know what went wrong with Ohio State, but I will say this much. I'll let Jacob get into this part. Ryan Day cost them their entire football game. His play calling was one of the worst that I've ever seen in my entire life. He was not playing to win. He was afraid to lose. And his play calling was down to the wire, straight up, just like that. He abandoned his run game, stuck to his passing game a lot. Just because you get stopped on a few runs doesn't mean you just necessarily abandon the run game. But there was times late in the fourth quarter, right before Michigan got the football back, He ran the ball on first down. He passed the ball on second down, incomplete. Pass it deep on third down, incomplete. Now you got to punt again. There was nothing in the entire ball game that I saw that Ryan Day tried to coach to win. None whatsoever at all. He was afraid to lose, and his fears came true. And I think that's why he was staring. He was staring like it was like staring at like deer in a headlight stare, or whatever the case may be, staring off into space, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And so, but I'll let Jacob finish that part off. But that's my personal opinion. That Ryan Day, that was the worst coaching job I've ever seen Ryan Day, and I've ever seen Ryan Day coach.
So I will say that he did abandon the run game, but I don't think it's because he thought that the run game was not doing the job. If you look at this game, if you look at the game, the winner of this game for the last 24 years has been the team that has been able to run the ball the most.
Yep.
The team who leads rushing yards wins the game. Michigan did that pretty fucking great. But I think what Ryan Day was trying to do was trying to turn that narrative and try to erase that narrative and win off the back of Will Howard, when Will Howard is not the type of quarterback to do that. He's a statistical quarterback. He's a field general. He actually, I'm pretty sure I saw where he's in the top 5 for Heisman currently. But it's not the type of quarterback to put the game on his shoulders. I think Ryan Day and Chip Kelly had one horrendous day. And this was a defensive game, big time, because both offenses kept making horrible mistakes. But I will say, if Ohio State does not make a deep run into this 12-team playoff format this year, he will officially be gone. I think he should be gone already, but he will officially be gone. And if you guys would like to know my prediction on who could replace him, 2 former Ohio State players.
Is Heartline one?
No, I wish. I really wish. That man needs to get some type of coordinator position. He's a wide receiver mastermind.
Is he still at Ohio State as a wide receiver coach?
Yeah. Yep. I don't think he'll ever leave Ohio State because that's where he played.
Right. So who's your 2 then?
Mike Vrabel, Marcus Freeman.
Okay. I have seen some conversations, some chatter about Freeman to Ohio State. I have seen some chatter about that.
But I will say it seems like the consensus for the top guy to get right now for Ohio State is Matt Campbell.
Oh, from Iowa State?
Iowa State, yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would much rather get a familiar face with either Vrabel or Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of Marcus Freeman, but if it had to be those 2, it would be Vrabel.
Right.
So I will say this much, and we're kind of in the same situation down here in Arkansas. If you're going to get rid of him, it needs to be this year, because next year a lot of big names are a lot of big schools are probably going to be getting rid of their coaches next year. And I know that Ohio State probably won't have that. Ohio State has that carousel, or has that deal where, it's Ohio State. It's going to be easy to get a job. But I feel like a lot of big programs are going to stick with their coaches this year, and they're going to be willing to pay a lot more money to keep them where they're at right now. Someone like Marcus Freeman is going to be easy to get away from Notre Dame, just for the simple fact is that Notre Dame does not have a stability in a conference.
Yeah.
They're statistically right now. They're playing one of the easiest schedules, in my personal opinion. It's one of the easiest schedules in all of college football, and they're getting praised for it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're rolling this team to the ACC. But Notre Dame is not what they used to be as far as a program goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I could easily see him leaving Notre Dame to go to Ohio State. Vrabel would be a good hire. But Jacob, you're more familiar with that than I am, as far as like Ohio State ties and everything like that. And you're probably right. They probably do need to stick with someone who does have Ohio State ties, just for the simple fact is, when you take an Ohio State job, you have this target on your back because everyone hates you. Everyone hates Ohio State because because they win. They're such a great winning program, and they'll tell you about it. And so they've got to have somebody that's willing to have a target on his back, someone that's not willing to fold when it gets tough, and someone who's able to drop a game plan to beat your rival every year. You may not beat Michigan every year, but there's no reason you should lose 4 in a row to Michigan.
True.
I will say, whoever becomes the head coach, I am a firm believer that they should at least attempt to try to keep both Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles. I could see Jim Knowles wanting to go off to do another head coaching position somewhere. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend keeping both of the coordinators.
What if Chip Kelly gets the job?
No.
Oh.
So, and now, and this is what sucks about being an Arkansas fan right now. So now, I don't know if Hunter Yurchek has come out and announced this yet. The sources are saying that Pittman is staying.
Yeah,
But
as
here's
far as I
something
know, he
else.
is.
Bobby Petrino is being tied to the Charlotte job right now, and our defensive coordinator is being tied to the UCF job. And if that happens, we're done. Like we're done.
Where's
We're
Bobby
done.
being tied to?
Do what now?
Where's Bobby being tied to?
Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte, the 49ers, huh?
Yes.
Interesting.
And they are, from my understanding, they are one of the hottest jobs for a non-Power 5 school to get right now. So and he's got ties around that area, so it would make sense if he does end up leaving.
Tyler says Ohio State needs to hire James Franklin because he doesn't lose to his rivals.
And this is why Tyler isn't on the show right now.
He doesn't want to get roasted.
He's afraid to get on the show and get roasted.
No, I'll tell you this about the Ohio State hire. You guys need to firmly back all the way the F off on Mike Vrabel for the moment, okay? Let the Bears get their hands on him first, all right?
No.
Let the Bears get an interview process first, before any decisions are made, all right there, buddy? Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Well, okay, I made a point before we went on the air about the potential of the Ohio State teams that have come and gone over the course of the recent years.
Yep.
That wasn't a very good NFL head coach, but he was a damn good college football head coach. If Urban never left, I think the teams that we had at least 1 or 2 national championships from those teams.
Yeah.
At least.
I agree.
I think we would have beat Bama that year. I think we wouldn't have lost to Clemson.
Yo, hey, speaking of, did you see that comment that came out from, I guess, a former Ohio State wide receiver about that Bama loss?
No.
I think it was Tyrese Stevenson. Is that an Ohio State receiver name? Sound familiar?
Does not sound familiar.
I maybe I got the name wrong. I don't know. No, someone came out and said that at halftime, instead of Ryan Day like pep talking the team, he just roasted his coaches about like the game plan.
Yeah. That was the Ryan Day at halftime went into his fucking office.
Yeah. Versus talk to the team.
Yeah,
that's what it was. So yeah, I think you're onto something. I think if you still had Urban, you guys made win another natty or so. But like I said, you need to back all the way off on Vrabes for just the moment. All right, let's get through some interview processes first, because let's go ahead and hit a very important fact. History has been made. Okay. And we can all celebrate history being made, right? We love history being made in sports. I love it. I love it. For the first time in 100 years, the Chicago Bears have fired a coach midseason. What a wild statistic to say. What a wild statistic to say happened. After 100 years plus, we finally fire a coach midseason. Unbelievable that it took this long. And unbelievable it took this long for Flus specifically. There was plenty of chances you should have fired him in January, first off. If you already made the decision then to go for a new QB, you needed to go clean slate, but whatever. But we should have fired him sooner, easily after the Patriots game. But Thanksgiving Day, 33.4 million average viewers watching him blow a 30-second, time off the clock just to not call the last timeout he had and lose the game. Don't even get me fucking started on this shit.
Now, did Caleb have any say in calling timeouts though?
No.
Or anybody on the offense? Usually captains can call timeouts.
So, yeah. I guess technically on the captain side, I'll defend Caleb on not calling the timeout. I mean, he's a rookie. I get it. If it had been a second year Caleb Williams, I would have been making some serious questions, but I get it. And literally even the vets are saying like, why didn't the coaches call it? Why didn't the coaches call it? Like all the vets have said it. DJ Moore said it. Which I don't understand. Jalen Johnson said it. It's like, why didn't we call a timeout there?
Coordinators could call timeouts too. So
yeah, so it was a coaching failure. All right, let's not shift any blame. It was a coaching failure. I mean, everything about that was a disaster, and the fact that Flus stood on his podium, it's like I would have done the same thing again. All right, so you're a dumbass. Good to know.
Yeah,
more than we already knew. But no, finally fired Thomas Brown, interim head coach, and in my opinion, Thomas Brown is getting a very strong head coaching interview over these next few games. Honestly and truthfully, I think he's going to be a top candidate. I'm not saying I'm top candidate. Like I'm excited for it per se. I mean, I'm fine with it, I guess, to a point. But I understand the appeal. Because one of the big things is he commands a room that Flus could not. And also massive shout out, kind of like how Jacob, you shouted out, Jack Sawyer for him stepping up and doing the thing, big shout out to Jalen Johnson, because through multiple sources, including kind of Ryan Poles himself, clear indicator that locker room dynamic played a big factor. And Jalen Johnson apparently went the fuck off on Flus after that game. Multiple sources, including players, have so sources are reporting it was Jalen. Players and Ryan Poles have kind of indicated, yeah, there was an incident that took place. But yeah, shout out to Jalen Johnson for doing the betterment of the Bears, baby, and just going the fuck off on that dipshit Caleb Flus. Not Caleb Flus, Matt Eberflus. Jalen Johnson single-handedly saved the Bears. So shout out to that. But I mean, it feels good that we finally did this. We need to do it. Now we begin the head coaching hunt. We have a lot of homework to do. In my opinion, I think the top candidates will come down to like Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Cliff Kingsbury, Thomas Brown. I guess Joe Brady will be in the conversation. If they step down to the college ranks, I think Dan Lanning will be in conversation.
Ryan Day.
Fuck off. No.
Bill Belichick.
I don't think Bill Belichick will be in the running. I'll be honest with you. I really don't. I think with his age and kind of where he's at right now, man, I just don't think they're going to want to go that route to pair him with going in second year Caleb Williams. You know what I mean? I don't see them going that route.
You guys want Mike McCarthy?
No. That would be a Bears level hire, though. Let's be honest. That would be a Bears move, is to hire Mike McCarthy.
Hey, Chip Kelly.
No, relax. No, I mean, I'm at the point right now where I'm not sure who I'm leaning to, because obviously, a lot of people want to immediately look at like Ben Johnson and how creative he is at offensive play calling. And totally fair. Great offensive play caller. I would kind of question, and maybe I need to go watch some Hard Knocks. Maybe I need to go watch some more interviews on Ben. But my question is, how much is he going to be, that leader, that we did not have, right? Like, how much is he going to step into that role? And that's why, honestly, as of now, until my opinion sways, and when I say this, I'm not saying like beating the table, this is the guy like I did last year with Jim Harbaugh. But honestly, I'm kind of leaning Vrabes. I'll be real with you. I'm leaning Vrabes. He kept a very subpar Tennessee team always competitive, beat a 14-2 Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, beat a Josh Allen-led Buffalo Bills, won Coach of the Year twice, took Tennessee to AFC Championship, made Tennessee the number one, team in the playoffs one year, all with a Ryan Tannehill-led team who turned him into a Pro Bowler. And granted, there are some other indicators, like Arthur Smith's a great coordinator, did well for him. Matt LaFleur, great coordinator before he went to Green Bay. But like the point is, like Vrabes is the leader. He's a leader, dude, and he puts the right pieces together. So, I mean, I'm kind of leaning Mike Vrabel to be the next Bears head coach is who I'd like to see. But, I'm open to a couple different things. And as the months go on, the next few months go on, my opinions could vastly change. And I could be super pumped about, someone else. But right now, I'm kind of leaning Mike Vrabel, But who knows? Maybe these next 2 games will sway my opinion on Thomas Brown some more. Because he's been getting a lot of praise from guys like Sean McVay, who obviously I respect as a coach, who was on McVay's staff. Oh, but hey, another name to look at. I'll be honest, and if this guy's available, he's kind of my number 1, maybe. He's at least number 2 or 3. And that's Kyle Shanahan. Watch out for Kyle Shanahan to Chicago. I'm being serious. Watch out for Kyle Shanahan to Chicago. I really think it's possible that the 49ers and Kyle could mutually part ways this offseason. I really think that's a strong possibility. And if that's happened, you got to at least interview the man. You cannot be like you did this past offseason and stick with Flus for whatever dumb reason and let a guy that was a perfect fit with Jim Harbaugh walk away. Like, that's going to be – if we don't get this head coach hiring right, can we all agree that not even considering Jim Harbaugh this offseason is going to haunt the Bears for 10 years to come? Because I think it will. Legitimately, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. What's you guys' immediate thoughts on who could be the next Bears head coach? You guys like my mindset on Vrabes and kind of my approach about it? Or you guys think we should go with, a young upcoming offensive coordinator like Mark Trestman over in LA or Matt Nagy in Kansas City? Heard a lot of good things about them.
I'm about to run out of signal, boys, but I'll go ahead and answer your question. You have high hopes that they're going to go out and get a home run hire. You have really, really high hopes. Because you and I both said last year they should go after Harbaugh, and they didn't do it.
I know.
But expect the unexpected.
Oh yeah, always
Just
do.
Expect the Bears to be the Bears. Expect the Bears to be the Bears. Because you're like some of these home run hires. Everything. As soon as I heard Cliff Kingsbury, I'm like, why? Why would you go get him? But he's an offensive guru, which is what you need.
Yep.
If he can get a D coordinator in there, which the Bears defense is okay, but if he can get a D coordinator that he likes in there to keep the defense straight up, he's strictly offense, then I can see that working. But anyway, before I get off here, I just wanted to get a couple shout outs before I get off, because I am about to run out of signal.
Okay.
I'm getting very close to Star City. Shout out to Mike Tomlin once more.
Yep.
He proved me wrong. And he's going to have another winning season.
Never bet against Mike Tomlin.
He's done.
I hate it.
I think
there he goes.
We lost him. We're losing him.
He's gone.
Ricky, you're done, buddy. You're done.
You think so?
Yeah. I think we lost you. Yep, we lost him.
Yep, there he goes.
Yep. You're done, buddy. You're done.
The Bears could hire a pretty big up and coming offensive coordinator
like Mark Trestman and Matt Nagy.
Yeah. I was going to say Matt Nagy.
Yeah. Mark Trestman out of the Chargers and Matt Nagy. I've heard great things about these guys.
Yeah. I think they could have some good potential.
Yeah.
They could draft a, underrated quarterback.
Yep.
They could make it to the playoffs a few years.
Yeah.
And then the rest is kind of question mark.
Yeah. I mean, they both have head coaching experience. Mark Trestman's apparently a CFL guru with offensive mind. So, I mean, hey, I think both are very solid options for the Chicago Bears. I've heard great things about them.
Very true.
Great things.
Very true.
Hey, real talk though, you want to know the finest example of what's going to be like a Chicago Bears level hire. I mentioned it was Mike McCarthy, but you know who it would actually be?
Who?
Ron fucking Rivera.
Yeah.
Former 85 Bear. That would be a Chicago Bears style hire that would piss me off.
Speaking of the 85 Bears, I am really surprised Mike Ditka has not come back to coaching at all.
Man, he's old as hell.
I know he is, but
I think he's got some health problems though too, man.
That would make sense.
I don't think it's true. No, it's not. No, it's not. There were some reports that he went into hospice care, but Jarrett Payton shut that down and said that's not true.
Oh.
So shout out to Jarrett Payton. But either way, he's just getting up there in age. I wouldn't want to see him back on the sideline. I would not want to see that. But no, I mean, I will say, you know, Kevin Warren was talking about the job that he believes it's going to be one of the most, you know, coveted positions in the next head coaching cycle. And I agree. I thought it would have been this last season. I think it would have been if we would have fired Flus. But I agree. Because like my big thing about this whole thing, and I'm making a call out right now to anyone listening to the show, whether it's after the fact or whatever, I dare you to come in here and try to blame Caleb on this and blame Caleb for anything and say that we should have kept Fields. I dare you, because it's like there's no argument anymore. There's just not. Stats wise, just the potential flash, like the Bears destroyed Justin Fields. Like, I'm sorry. Like, even in Pittsburgh, he's still not the Ohio State Justin. He's not. He's the destroyed Chicago Justin that we destroyed, right? Caleb, man, is just I've seen more potential out of him this season than I saw Fields the entire time he was in Chicago. I hate to say it because I love Fields, but man, Caleb's a dog. I mean, like, he's already breaking Bears rookie passing records, which is not hard to do. You know, he's gotten more 300-yard games than Justin had his entire time in Chicago. You know, he's had more almost fourth quarter comebacks than Justin ever had. You know, in terms of percentages and stuff like that, like, dude, I dare you to try to make an argument for Fields over Caleb. That argument's so long dead, I don't even want to hear it anymore. You know, the Bears, for once, seemingly for now, obviously it's still a rookie. We can't get our hopes up to the moon, right? I think we can all agree to that. It's a rookie. Sophomore slumps happen. Look at C.J. Stroud. Because, I mean, hey, if you want to make an argument about Caleb, I'll compare C.J. and Caleb's stats because C.J.'s playing like shit this year, right? See, you know, sophomore slumps happen. It's all good, you know, but there's a lot of potential for Caleb. You know, the Bears may have actually got the QB position right. They made the right call moving on from Fields. So, anyone listening, I dare you to come fight me on this. Dare you? At AlexLight23, that's my Twitter. Hit me up. Let's fight.
Hey, you know how we're talking about, you know, history being made and everything like that.
Yep.
This season, you know, history was made this season as far as, you know, seasonal history goes.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys finally won a home game.
Shout out! Let's go.
We're on a 2-game winning streak right now.
How about
what
that?
is happening?
Yeah. What is it? What the heck is happening? Just honestly, what the heck's happening across the entire league? Like, let's be honest. Like, what is this football season? You know what I mean?
I have no idea,
dude.
Man. I really don't.
Hey,
Aiden O'Connell almost beat the Chiefs.
I know, dude. The Chiefs team looks so dang weak, man. It makes me so mad that they're a 10-1 team or 11-1 or whatever they are now.
11-1.
Yeah,
6-0 at home.
It's crazy. It makes no sense.
You know what also is crazy?
Mm.
The fact that the Bengals lost another one-possession game.
All right, so hold on. I was looking at this the other day. Let me get things let me get things pulled up because
but one of their losses is one possession.
Yeah. So let me pull up something now that we're done with this week. So I want this to sink in, right? So all right, let's see NFL standings. So the Bengals are like what, 4-7, I think.
They're 4-8.
4-8, second to last in the AFC North, right? But then let's look at this. Like, this is crazy. Joe Burrow is number 1 in the league right now in passing yards. Okay? Like, he is currently not in the top 10 for completion percentage. For TDs, he's number 1, and he's only thrown 5 picks. Like, QB rating, he's in the top 5.
He's third for QBR.
Yeah, third for QBR too. Like, dude, Joe is having such a dang year, but the team can't get it together. Is Zach Taylor fired? Because Zach Taylor, like, this team is wasting one of Joe Burrow's best years. Is Zach Taylor gone, you think? Because they re-signed him after the Super Bowl. He's got like a 7-year deal. So he's got
I think he's gone. I honestly,
because like,
gone.
Dude, you're wasting one of your franchise's guys' best years. Like, everyone's talking Josh Allen and, you know, Lamar Jackson in the, you know, MVP conversation, right? Like, everyone's talking that. But like, dude, Lamar right now is probably the MVP favorite. All right, can we agree to that? Just from the general in terms of media, right? The overall media, he's number 1. Dude, look at their stats. They're so comparable. It's unreal. You know, 67.7 for Joe, 67 flat for, you know, Lamar in terms of completion. 3,300 yards for Joe, almost 3,300 for Lamar. 29 TDs for Lamar, 30 for Joe. 5 INTs for Joe, 3 for Lamar. QBR, 73.9, 73.4 rating. Lamar does have a lead on that one with 116.3 versus 107. Dude, it's laughable how almost comparison they are, but because the Bengals suck so much, Joe's going to get left out of this.
It's the defense, and also the Bengals really haven't had much of a running game this year.
Yeah. Hey, Chase Brown's been stepping up.
He has been.
I can't tell you how much I wanted Chicago to draft him. When he was in, I wanted that Illinois guy to head to Chicago so dang bad. But I'm glad that he's popping off a little bit for Cincy.
Yeah. But it's honestly, it is the defense.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's defense is just abysmal.
Yeah. And you know what's sad is, like, I don't think their defense coordinator is necessarily a bad D coordinator. He just has no talent. Like, they let their talent walk. Did I just lose Jacob? Did he just freeze? That's quite the freeze shot. That's quite the freeze shot. Or is there an error on my side? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Let me see if I've got something going on over here. Let's see if we're still live. Am I still live? I am still live. All right, so I'm still live, so that's good. There's no Jacob. I don't know where Jacob went. I got to shoot Jacob a text real quick and find out where'd you go, buddy. Let's see here. Let me hit old Jacob up here. Jacob Dobbs. What happened? Last time this happened, his internet went out. So let's see if that is the case here for Mr. Jacob Giggity. And while we just enjoy his frozen face on the screen, but continuing on with the general thought that we were going on, it's honestly insane that Joe Burrow is just gotten completely shafted in some MVP conversations. I mean, I imagine it's still there, the MVP conversation. It's kind of hard not to have that conversation and acknowledge it and everything, especially with the kind of year that he's having. I think there's some other strong candidates when it comes to the MVP conversation, like Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, get Patrick Mahomes out of the conversation, which he wouldn't be in it anyway with his stats. But I think Saquon Barkley is actually one that needs to be in the MVP conversation while he's playing. I mean, while Jalen Hurts is having a great year as well, especially in terms of the rushing game, Jalen Hurts already passed over 10 rushing touchdowns, and he's currently sitting at a 14.5 TDI ratio, 101 QBR, 64% QBR, 101 rating. 68% completion. Jalen Hurts could probably be in that conversation, but Saquon, in my opinion, even though Jalen's having a pretty solid year, I think Saquon has kind of put that team on his back. And if Saquon ends up going the long haul and ends up passing 2,000 yards, and it's something that really needs to be considered for that MVP conversation, at least in my opinion, that's for sure. Lots of good conversations around that, 100%. I will also add this. I was messaging Tyler about this the other day, that I think it's funny that Tyler has kind of reached a point where he's like, oh, man, I'm just kind of done with football and install the ESPN app, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, like, Buffalo's having, like, the most career year possible. Like, Buffalo's, like, they've already locked up the AFC East, so shout out to that. They've won 7 straight. They're that 10-2 record right now. And in my opinion, Buffalo has, like, the most moxie imaginable. Like, just like those trick plays that we saw just the other day, right? I think the Sunday night game versus San Fran. Dude, like, we're seeing the same level of moxie and energy that out of the Buffalo Bills as we are seeing out of the Detroit Lions. Like, it's crazy right now. So for me, I want to see a Lions Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. Tyler, if you're still in the chat, I need your thoughts on this, because, like, that is my opinion of the most ideal Super Bowl is give me the Buffalo Bills, give me the Detroit Lions. That will be the most moxie-filled possible Super Bowl imaginable. Like, that's what I want to see, because Joe is like Josh Allen, man. He's having a career year, because I remember I was talking to, I said this a few times on the show before. I was talking to my temp boss about it way earlier in the season. And I was talking about, with how good Buffalo's been. And, like, my prediction for Buffalo was, like, dude, it was around the idea of the fact that, like, we went into this, offseason. Yeah, they did draft a receiver first round. Awesome, right? Legit, great. You let, Stephon Diggs walk. You let, a safety blanket with Gabe Davis walk. And it's just like, this was going to be Josh Allen's opportunity to prove to the world that he doesn't need guys around him to elevate him, and he elevates the guys around him. And I feel like he's done that this season. I feel like, because it's kind of the same mentality what Tom Brady did all those years, before he got like Randy Moss. I mean, for God's sake, Deion Branch was a Super Bowl MVP for the Patriots. Like, come on now. And then he helped turn Wes Welker into a star. Like, Wes Welker was all right for Miami before he got to the Patriots. Turned Julian Edelman into a star. He got Randy Moss, and we saw what happened with that. Once you had a bona fide stud of a wide receiver, you go 16-0, you almost go a perfect 19-0. You set a season receiving TD record of 23 TDs that I believe still stands. So it's like Josh Allen has kind of shown that he doesn't need the guys around him to have him elevated. He can elevate the people around him, and getting Coop. I mean, that's just a bonus. They're establishing a run game. So I'm making my argument that Buffalo to the Super Bowl, while they are sure the number one team right now, it's a legitimate argument because they are just playing on a different level. And it's also kind of why I do understand the argument for a Joe Brady conversation to Chicago. Not a big fan of it for him as a head coach, but I do get it because let's remind everybody, Joe Brady has gotten results pretty much everywhere he's gone where, he got that Heisman national championship year out of Joe Burrow, which is arguably, if not even arguably, the greatest season for a college quarterback in college football history. Then you also got a career year for him out of Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina, and now you're getting a career year out of Josh Allen. So I hear the argument for Joe Brady to become a head coach in this next cycle, and I think he'll be a head coach somewhere. Do I necessarily want him for the Bears? That's a question for another day. We'll figure it out. But I do understand the conversation. Just like I also understand the conversation for like Cliff Kingsbury. I can get the conversation to a point, just like I can get it about Ben Johnson and stuff. Right, like I said before, right now I'm still kind of leaning Vrabes, but that's a we'll see thing. I am anti-Belichick though. I am anti-Belichick. But no, Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills would be an absolutely electric Super Bowl in every single capacity. Jacob's power did go out, by the way. I found that out about 5 minutes ago while I've been rambling. So shout out to my rambling, getting through things. I don't know if we'll see Jacob back. So we'll probably go ahead and wrap up the show, which is fine by me because I want to play Dragon Age. That sounds really fun. And maybe go get a Sonic drink because that sounds like a nice way to end the show. Probably won't shout my picks out. The picks are always just more electric when there's other people involved. So yeah, it's whatever. I'm already losing on picks anyway. I don't think it matters. Let me see if there's anything else that I would like to shout out on when it comes to the NFL world and NFL news. I guess one thing, because I know this has been obviously a pretty hot conversation, is what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers next year. Because I know there's been a lot of convo if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet or not. I say he's not with the new regime coming in. And I really don't know what would be a good landing spot for him. I really don't know if there's anyone going to be even biting, if I'm going to be completely real with you. Like breaking down the teams that would need a QB next year, who's going to be biting on a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers who is still low-key kind of coming off an Achilles tendon injury and is having an absolutely terrible year and hasn't passed for over 300 yards in 3 seasons now? Obviously, one season is technically injury, but you get my point. Like, who is going to be clamoring for Aaron Rodgers? Like, I got to ask the question. I understand he's a future Hall of Famer. I understand in terms of TD INT ratio, I think he's number one in NFL history or something like that. Completion percentage. Once there was some completion related statistic where he's number one in NFL history. I don't remember exactly which one it is. I get it. Future Hall of Famer, probably first ballot, if not first ballot, second ballot. Totally get it. Understand. But just based on how he's playing now, who's going to want him? At least all right, I know a lot of people like to meme, oh, he's got to go to the Vikings. He's got to go to the Vikings. And if he does, the NFL is scripted. You cannot convince me otherwise. The NFL is scripted if he goes to the Vikings, which would be hysterical. But they got J.J. McCarthy in the wings, right? They're fine. No big deal. But looking at the league, I mean, in the teams that kind of need a QB, I mean, you've got Vegas, who would need a QB, but your safe assumption is they're just going to draft. They're probably going to draft Shadur Sanders is who they're going to try to swing for. Tennessee, I mean, which Aaron Rodgers did buy property in Tennessee a year or two ago. So there could be a link there, but do you actually see him going to the Titans? That's a question. Let's see, going down through the rest of the list. I guess the Browns. The Browns have got to figure out something to QB. I think we've seen the last of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, so maybe they take a 1-year rental on Aaron Rodgers. The Giants. Does he just move, to another locker room in MetLife? Does he just do that? Obviously, some of these teams you're going to expect them to draft. I'm not discrediting the draft aspect, but I'm also saying like they may also like get Rodgers and do a draft aspect depending on who it is. Like let's say it's Vegas, right? And Vegas does get aiming for Shadur Sanders somehow. Like they manage to swing it and make it happen. They're not going to bring A-Rod in. They're just not. But maybe some of these other teams that aren't going to get someone like him, could you see Aaron Rodgers going to the Giants? I mean, yeah, maybe. They're going to have a new regime. Could you see Aaron Rodgers going to the Browns with Kevin Stefanski, assuming he doesn't get canned? Yeah, I can see that too. So it's just like, who's going to be clamoring for A-Rod? That's going to be the big question. And my answer is probably not many teams. I feel like it's going to be a situation where A-Rod's going to twist it, that he's in the decision-making process of, all right, well, I'm just kind of, I'm relaxing. I got another darkness retreat to go on. I'm biding my time. I'm going to just kind of make a decision later, as if there's like 17 teams out of 32 out his front door trying to give him a contract right then and there. But in reality, no one's calling, and no one's going to call until after the draft. That's my current prediction on Aaron Rodgers, is that he will not be signed until after the draft, unless it's a trade, which if there's a trade, why? Why? I don't know. Let's see some other kind of news hits to throw out there. Shout out to the Falcons for just completely dropping the ball in their lackluster division from the looks of it. I mean, I like what Tampa's done this year, even though they're 6-6. But I mean, this was a year for Kirk Cousins-led Falcons to just kind of run away with the division, and they've kind of completely dropped the ball on that. So, I mean, I think once again, the NFC South is one of those divisions where you're going to have a playoff team that number 4 seed spot that's going to be like 9-8 or some dog, or even 8-9. I mean, that's a legitimate possibility at this point. And staying in the NFC South, I mean, big shout out to what's feeling like almost the career resurgence of Bryce Young. And he's kind of figuring things out. I mean, they're still 3-9. They had an unfortunate loss this weekend, but I don't think anyone can disagree that, Bryce Young is looking like he's playing some better ball. So it's like, are we finally kind of figuring it out? Are we finally figuring it out for Bryce? I mean, I hope so. I don't want the guy to be a bust. But man, Carolina has just done him absolutely zero favors, and that's just unfortunate. And talking about the NFC West, that's just kind of a wide open division too. I mean, you got the 7-5 Seahawks, you got the 6-6 Cardinals, and 6-6 Rams, and even 5-7 Niners, which C-Mac is done. Let's be honest, he's done for the season. I think it was confirmed he's done for the season. Now, if anyone has not seen the video of C-Mac's leg just exploding, and you got a strong stomach, go watch that video, because it's intense. As someone that's also torn their Achilles, and I can only imagine what my calf looked like when it exploded at the time, his looked brutal, like a brutal eruption of his entire calf. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it. But obviously, he's done for the year. Brock Purdy's been playing like shit. This team's still injury-ridden, obviously. And also, hey, big T's and P's to Trent Williams. Him and his wife, unfortunately, I believe, lost a child recently. So that's also going to be weighing on the mind, the heart, and the soul. So 49ers just been having a rough year top to bottom, which is why I'm saying I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that Kyle Shanahan is no longer the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers next year. I'm just saying it. I'm calling it. Kyle Shanahan in Chicago, I think, could be a legitimate conversation. I think Kyle Shanahan would be licking his lips to go coach Caleb Williams, which I think a lot of coaches would. But anyway, I am going to hit the music, and we are going to get out of here for the day. Hopefully next week we are back together as a band. I know the other boys had some stuff going on. Ricky's got some head coach scouting to take care of, and he lost signal, and then Jacob unfortunately lost power. It's just one more jab for Jacob for the year. So stay strong, buddy. Believe in you. But if you did make it all the way to the end, we do appreciate the hell out of you. Make sure to check out our Patreon. Check out all the links below. Join the Discord. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Check out some Rogue Energy and Agent Inc. Use promo code Sparky3 over at Rogue Energy, and we'd appreciate that. Good weekend of football ahead. Hopefully we get a nice head coaching audition out of Thomas Brown for Chicago. Shout out to that. And hopefully we just have overall a good weekend of football with the conference championships. Hopefully it changes the world and everything explodes in the college football playoffs. It's going to be super exciting. Can't wait for next week to see what the brackets are going to be. And with that said, until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.